absolute tops. It's a very busy and very hot pit lane here at the Hungaroring as we prepare for round 8 of the FIA World Touring Car Championship, and drivers going to get themselves ready now. They've got around 20 minutes before the car must be out of the pit lane and on the grid. In fact, less than that. We're almost at the start of our repair time. 30 seconds or so will go by. Track temperature around 50 degrees, air temperature just around... Do you know, that's in the shade somewhere in an air-conditioned truck. It is hotter than 30 degrees. I'm pretty sure that the track... I mean, it's 53 degrees in qualifying yesterday afternoon at 3 o'clock. It's now 1 o'clock local time. I reckon it's got to be close to that.
Yeah, it certainly feels it. Certainly feels sweltering hot. You can see Norbert walking down the pit lane there and getting all the adulation from the fans in the opposite grandstand.
And I'm sure that first race, you know, he didn't feel he got the best out of the car in qualifying. He did get the best out of the car in the race. He could barely have done any more against the Chevrolet of Alain Menu. He had a good run into the first corner, got himself, I mean, fought well to get himself into second place and hold on to that second place, because the first few corners were by no means easy, and then really attacked. So he must be feeling very much more relaxed. Great. I'm sure there's a huge weight of pressure that's gone. Now he's got to have a quick leak, top up with fluids, try not to drop the trophy. And then, you know, you can't even strip off the wet race suit and get a dry one on like you do between stints at Le Mans. You're soaking wet, you go straight back into the car, and he's getting ready to go again. Well, let's get down into the pit lane. In the battle for third place all the way through was Gabriele Tarquini.
Well, Gabriele, you were defending throughout that. Really hard work right on that last lap. If you take a look at the screen, we can look at it and you can talk us through it.
Yeah, this was good. I mean, this touch is normal. He was inside and he overtook me clean. But later on, he don't make a good maneuver. He was very dusty with me because, no, he's not here. He's on the corner number 4. He went completely out of the circuit and he rejoined me, and he cost me two other positions because he pushed me off. Look at this. He was completely out. He rejoined the track and he pushed me off. This must be penalized. I mean, this is not a normal line. This is normally the rules say when you are out of the track, you must wait until the last car. So you don't wait until the last car. It was a clean maneuver. There is out of the black stuff. He rejoined and he pushed me out. No, this is, I don't know how the race director can consider this a race incident. I don't know.
Well, I'm sure yourself and Joan Oris will have something to say later to the stewards.
Okay.
Well, he does have a valid point that Javi Villa was 4 wheels off the racing area. However, it is the last lap. It's a battle for a podium, and you know, at some stage, and he said, you know, exactly as we thought. You know, down into the first corner, he tried to keep the door closed. He braked with everything he could, Tarquini, but the BMW was just creeping alongside, and it was a good, clean racing manoeuvre. It just got a little feisty after that.
Yeah, they all got a little bit excitable, I think. I can see, I didn't realise that Gabriele actually got pushed off on the outside of the turn 4 corner, and he does have a point. Villa went completely off the circuit, yeah, and then rejoined and hit the car which was on the circuit, which probably will be frowned upon.
Well, we're looking here into turn 4 as the cars come up. You come up the hill, and where the curb is right in front of you there, that's the brow of the hill, and over the middle of the corner you sort of drift out wide, and it's very easy to get sucked out onto the AstroTurf and then out into the runoff area. So, I mean, you know, the road drops away on the outside of that corner, so very easy for that to happen.
Yeah, it's a totally blind corner as well, so...
It is. It's vital, but he did come back on, and contact with Tarquini pushed Tarquini off in corner 5. Touring cars, now it's really on the map. Massive crowds in the grandstands here at the Hungaroring, as the pit lane is a real centre of activity. Let's get down and hear from Javi Villa about his last lap incident.
Javi Villa, we have just heard from a very emotional Gabriele Tarquini saying that the second overtake was not correct. If you take a look at these pictures, you can talk us through, tell us from your point of view.
Yeah, well, the race was very close, no? In the last part, I think that in all the moment I have the car full inside. I had opportunities during the race that's overtaking, but maybe touching the two guys, and I try have all the car inside for don't touching, don't crash, and I think that was very, very close because the last lap through overtaking, but I see very good. Tarquini running much more lower than us. He was blocking to me in middle of all the apex, was close, but I don't want crash. For me it's very important finish the race, and here I was locking a little bit. Was my intention, if not locking, and then finish third. Podium is very, very important, and a very good race. I think all the team needed.
You can see from the pictures that you are completely off the track. Were you pushed at that point?
I have the place to come inside. No, I go not, but I lose in time because when I go outside the track, obviously he is quick, and when I come in, I have the space in the track. I don't think so. That is nothing strange. It's normal in all the races, and enough. No, it's a touring car, and I think that finish the 4 drivers is important.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, one incident, 2 different views, as you expect, from 2 drivers involved. Tarquini's absolutely right that Javi Villa was 4 wheels off the racing surface. Villa's absolutely right is that actually it didn't gain him anything. And when he came back on, the reason he locked up and the reason he ran wide out into Gabriele, of course, was because he's been out on that dirt and filth, and the tyres are operating at about 50% of the grip level that he would have had if he'd managed to keep it on track. And of course, the reason he ran out wide was because he was squeezing down the inside of Gabriele, who was trying not to let him, and so he went in very shallow into the corner, and so came out carrying speed, on a wider exit line, and so there's no way he was going to safely get or completely get all the way through on the track.
And obviously his view is that Gabriele didn't leave him room to come back onto the track, which is why he had the contact, but they'll argue that in the stewards' office.
Well, here is our local hero, and with her is Norbert Mikulis.
Norbert, we heard that you had mechanical problems at the start of the first race. What's the problem now?
I don't know, something with the car. They cannot get it to the ground. So I don't know actually what exactly the problem is, but it's not looking good.
Okay, thank you.
Now, in Formula 1 we use when the cars come in, they get a mechanical jack under, the guy leans back, lifts it up in the air, and that's how you jack your own car up. You stick a jack under it, wind it up. With the touring cars here, there's a compressed air system. At each of the 4 corners behind the wheels, there's a hydraulic ram, and you plug in an airline, it blows air in, lifts the car off the ground. They have now got it back on the ground, so for some reason the air was not releasing and dropping the car. Now, Norbert Mikulis is ready to go. Up once more. You can see cars coming down through pit road. In front of our commentary position, the grandstand seats are fast filling up again. Just the sound of the engines firing. Everybody's going, quickly, quickly, give me my pretzel, give me my beer. Let's get back into the grandstands as they retake their seats for race 2. And down on the grid, I think a very happy man here is Thomas Frank, our local promoter here in Hungary.
Joined by Thomas Frank, the circuit promoter, and Eric. Can you please give me your title?
I'm chief the tourism and sport committee in Parliament, Hungarian Parliament.
Thank you for joining us. This is a fantastic day, is it not?
Yeah, it's a fantastic day. Very good. So many people here, and Norbert Mikulis, the Hungarian driver, is the second, and that's very nice.
Thomas, we've heard that there's a 45-kilometer motorway backlog, people trying to get in, people are still trying to get into the track.
Yes, we are very happy with this coulisses what we have in Hungary. We have in this weekend 75,000 people. That is very nice, and Michalis is a very good driver. I hope so. It's coming the second race. Everything is nice.
It's probably pretty obvious, but what does it mean to have WTCC here?
Marcelot is a good friend for me, and we are happy he brings this race to Hungary, and we hope so the race stay here a long time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well, based on a straw poll of all the fans, I think we could probably agree with that. I think they'd all be very happy to see it back again. As we talked about earlier, having this boy, this guy, Norbert Michelis in the car, a Hungarian driver, has suddenly exposed the whole country to what the World Touring Car Championship is. It's put it right on the map. They had the Hungarian Formula 1 driver briefly with Zolt Baumgartner, but of course, having had the Grand Prix here for, well, I mean, if you look out, most of the fans here, it's been here for half their lives of Formula 1 race. So they've become, you know, very accustomed to it. They know when it's coming. They know what it's all about. World Touring Car Championship may not have been on the radar, but boy, it is now. And, you know, the scenes of the crowds here and trying to get in are really quite incredible. Part of it is having a local hero. Part of it is how close it is to the capital city, which is, you know, no small problem. But of course, the other thing is having free admission for the fans means that it is a really, you know, great opportunity to come out and see something at this track. And I think for the Hungaroring, you know, the opportunity to host the race when it became clear that Marrakesh couldn't was a golden opportunity, and they've, you know, they've really done a great job. And for the championship to be racing at a circuit like this that's offered some great racing and that has got an enormous crowd watching it, you know, you want to perform as an athlete in front of a big crowd, and boy, they're doing that this weekend. And
it's such a, it's hard to explain, but it's such a great feeling, and the atmosphere in general, it really does feel like I've never felt this at a motorsport race before. There's the whole crowd's just so into the whole thing. They're on their feet constantly, they're jumping around and singing and dancing, and it adds to the whole like fanfare, if you like, of the event.
It really does. It just makes a special atmosphere. Now then, to matters racing. Mehdi Benani, the Moroccan driver, will be on pole position with his BMW for race 2, ahead of Alain Menu, who starts on the outside of the front row of the grid, ahead of Christian Poulsen, Tom Coronel, Thiago Monteiro, and that man, Norbert Michelis again. The Hungarian will once more be cheered to the rafters with every single move. 9th place and 10th for Robert Dahlgren and Javi Villa, and in 12th position, as he was for race 1, Rob Huff. Further back, the positions exactly the same as they were on the race 1 grid. Incidentally, Hus Sonderegger, who had a high-speed accident in practice down at corner 1. The car was fixed and he was passed safe to race by the drivers, but actually didn't feel that he would be within himself able to give enough in the car. So rather reluctantly, I think he and Vika Sport have withdrawn that entry. Rob Huff missed the boat slightly in the final lap of Q1, which demoted him not only out of Q2, out of the top 10, but also into 12th place for both races, because Q1 from 11th on down seals the grid for both races. And so Huffy made it up in the end into 4th position, didn't he, in race 1? Yeah. So an 8th place improvement. And well, Daryl O'Young here in the Bamboo Engineering Chevrolet was doing similarly, following up through the field. Unfortunately, drive-through penalty for jumping across the inside of corner 4 on one of the laps really cost him an opportunity to fight inside the top points-paying positions. However, all he's got to do is go out and do it all again now.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's the same for Rob and for Daryl. They've both, in the previous race, they made up positions. They're both in quicker cars than where they've qualified, which is that's the problem with this new qualifying system. It's not that if you don't make it in the top 10, it really punishes you, because you've got it in both races, and it can ruin your weekend.
One of our promoters from Eurosport Events, Rolly Dorger, and there with Alain Menu, and there's Javi Villa.
I wonder if Gabriele Tarquini's been up and had a word with him and shaken him by the collar.
Well, no, I don't think so. I mean, it wasn't a wild punt or anything. It was, a racing manoeuvre. Gabriele saying, OK, well, he should be penalised for being off the track and then coming back on. And, maybe he's got a certain degree of justification in that. And I'm sure the stewards will look at it afterwards. But as has always been the case, decisions on race 1 are not made before race 2. They are given due time for a decision, appeal, counter-appeal, and so on. So often you can't do that between the 2 races. Robert Dahlgren, well, again, knocked off in race 1, car damage, they fixed it, but the bonus of this is that it doesn't detrimentally affect his grid position for race 2. That's already locked in, so even if you get knocked off on the first corner and finish last, race 2 you get a second go at it. So there are some factors of this that I like, some I'm afraid where we spend most of 20 minutes of qualifying just trying to explain what's going on that I'm not entirely convinced about. But